So good evening and welcome again to our small group stream. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Jeff and I am one of the site pastors here at Birmingham Vineyard. And along with my wife, we lead the South site in Selly Oak. And so, as you know, this is a time where I just chat about a few things that struck me from Sunday's talk. And hopefully that will help inspire some interesting discussion for you in your midweek groups as you meet online. And so this Sunday was Palm Sunday, and that's the Sunday where we celebrate the triumphant entry. And that's where Jesus rode in to Jerusalem on a donkey and was met with an amazing welcome by many people and by questions from others. And this was really Jesus's big reveal moment. In one way, it was his ministry becoming public in a new way, but also as him riding into the city on a donkey fulfills a prophecy about the Messiah, it was also his kind of big reveal as not just a general teacher, but as the Messiah. And so what is the Messiah? Well, the Messiah is God's chosen king who will rule and rescue God's people. But what we saw on Sunday in John's talk was that Jesus isn't just King of the Jews, but that Jesus is God's chosen king over all of creation. And that includes your life and my life. And for each of us, we need to decide how we're going to respond to him. But his invitation to all of us in this time is to trust him, is to trust his rule, because even in this difficult time, he is in control. And so one of the things we want to do in this time is also deal with questions that we've had sent in. So please do send in any questions you have after the Sunday talks, and we'd love to address those. And one of the questions we had sent in was, why did Jesus fly under the radar for so long before? And after doing a little bit of reading, the general opinion is that it was really because there were so many different misunderstandings about the Messiah. And Jesus knew that it would take time to correct people's understandings, and that if he just came out and said, "Hey, I'm the Messiah," then people's response would be wrong, and it wouldn't go the way he would want it to. But also that it takes time for people to, correct people's misunderstandings. And so he knew he needed time for people to hear his teaching and see his life and understand who he was and what the Messiah was really like. And in John 6:15, we see that as the people realize who Jesus is, they want to make him king by force, and that's not what Jesus wanted, so he withdraws. He didn't want to be the leader of a rebellion, and so that's why he flew under the radar for a while. And another question we got in, which is a great question, is what does Hosanna mean? And so as Jesus is entering the city, people are shouting, "Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And so Hosanna means help or save us, but it's with a tone of celebration. So it's more like, thank you for saving us. It's the kind of thing that would be shouted as a king returned from a victorious battle, having rescued the city. Another question that we got sent in was, why did Jesus make it so hard for people to understand who he was? Why wasn't Jesus clearer? And so I've answered some of that in the first question, but also when Jesus' disciples challenge him on why he isn't clearer in his teaching about who he is, his response is that actually him not being clear, it reveals the hearts of his listeners. That with him being unclear, it invites us to seek, to question, and to pursue him, to find out more. And then his promise is that as we seek after him and as we want to know him better, that he promises to reveal himself to those who seek. He says, "Seek and you will find." And so that's why he wasn't clearer in his teachings, because he wanted to invite us into a relationship. And so Jesus wanted us to know him relationally, not just factually. And if he was just really clear up front with all of the facts about himself, then we might know things about him, but we wouldn't be engaging in a real relationship. Relational knowledge takes time and it takes effort. And that's what we're being invited into by Jesus. And so those were the questions we had, and then just a couple other comments. And so one of the things that John mentioned was that Jesus' entry into Jerusalem fulfills a prophecy. And we often point to the fact that Jesus' life fulfilled many prophecies from hundreds of years before as evidence that he was who he said he was. And critics often say, well, couldn't Jesus have just known those prophecies really well and then organized his life so that his life fulfilled them? Now, in this case, that is true. And actually, in this case, I think Jesus was. I think he was purposefully organized things to fulfill prophecies, to reveal that he was the Messiah. But actually, the moments in his life that fulfill most prophecies are his birth and his death. And those are moments that nobody has any control over, even Jesus. He couldn't have organized the place of his birth or the circumstances of his birth or all the different things that happened to him when he died. Another thing that really struck me was that sense that Jesus wasn't what people expected. Jesus was surprising. Jesus wasn't the Messiah that everyone was expecting, but rather he was, different. He was the suffering servant as well as the victorious king. And it really struck me in this time that often when things are unpredictable and difficult, it can be easy to want to control everything around you. And I found in myself that sometimes there's a desire to control even God. That I feel like in these circumstances, there are certain ways he should act, certain ways he should behave. And that I can get disappointed easily if I don't feel like he's living up to my expectations or answering the prayers the way I would want him to. And that's totally normal. But it's really important for all of us to remember that actually God isn't required to meet our expectations. He's not required to fit into our box. God has the right to be surprising and unpredictable. And actually, by the very nature of being God, he is outside of our control and even our understanding. And what our role in this time is to come before him, to quiet ourselves, and to come to a place of trusting him. And so if you're a small group leader, you'll be receiving an email this week that will be giving you some resources just to help you and the people that you lead slow down and take some time just to still ourselves before God, reflect on him, connect with him, and be honest and connect with our emotions. So do be checking your inboxes and be sharing those resources with your small group. And hopefully that will be really helpful to you during this time. Well, I hope all that I had to say was helpful and interesting, and that you have a great small group. And if you're watching and you're not yet connected with a small group and you'd like to, then please do get in touch with us through our website. We'd love to help you get connected with some people who live nearby you and who are meeting online near you. So please do get in touch. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and stay home, stay safe.